Welcome to Sacred Stories, Everyday Lives. I am Adeline St. Clair. Today's story is one many people recognize immediately, yet often only in fragments. It is remembered for a phrase, a command, a declaration spoken with force. Let my people go. But before it became a rallying cry, it was a response to suffering that had gone on far too long. This is the story of Moses and the people he was sent to speak for. The Israelites, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, had been living in Egypt for generations. What began as refuge during a famine slowly hardened into oppression. Their labor was demanded. Their bodies were exhausted. Their lives were reduced to productivity and control. They had become enslaved. Scripture tells us they cried out, not eloquently, not formally, but desperately. And here is what matters. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant. God's response did not begin with immediate rescue. It began with witness, with acknowledgement of what was happening, that suffering was not invisible simply because it had become routine. God saw, God heard, and God acted by calling someone to speak. Here is where Moses enters the story, reluctantly. He is not a man eager to become a spokesperson. He does not trust his ability to communicate due to his stutter. He actually argues with God about it, saying, "I am slow of speech and tongue." He resists the role of messenger, not because he lacks conviction, but because he understands the cost of being the voice in a place that profited from silence. And yet, God still sends Moses. Not with persuasive rhetoric, not with clever negotiation tactics, but with a simple, direct sentence. Let my people go. It is a simple phrase, but it carries generations of exhaustion inside it. It names injustice without softening it. It does not argue for convenience. It does not offer compromise. It states what must change, what must be done, no matter the hesitation once felt. Pharaoh does not respond with understanding. He responds with resistance, with punishment, with increased burden. He makes their work even harder. And this, too, feels familiar, doesn't it? Because naming what is wrong often makes things harder before they get better. Speaking truth into systems that benefit from imbalance rarely produces immediate relief. The people begin to question Moses. They are angry with him. Doubt surfaces. Fear grows louder. This is not a story of instant unity or confident faith. It is a story of tension, between hope and fear, between promise and reality. Freedom does not arrive all at once. It unfolds through confrontation, through persistence, through the plagues that demonstrate God's power, through repeated refusal and repeated return. Let my people go. The phrase must be spoken again and again and again, because power rarely yields after a single request. Eventually, after 10 plagues that shake Egypt to its core, release comes. But even then, it is not clean or simple. The people leave quickly, carrying what they can, unsure of what lies ahead. Freedom opens into wilderness. Deliverance leads to uncertainty. Wandering in the desert for 40 years before reaching the promised land. And yet, movement has begun. This story teaches us something vital about how change happens. Freedom often begins as language before it becomes experienced. It starts when someone is willing to name what has been normalized. When silence is broken, not necessarily with shouting, but with communication, with truthful insistence. God heard the cry of suffering. God named the injustice. God sent a voice, even a reluctant, fear-filled one. And freedom began the moment the truth was spoken aloud. In our own lives, bondage may not look like literal slavery, but it can feel just as consuming. It can look like cycles that drain us, expectations that confine us, relationships that diminish us, systems, personal or collective, that depend on our exhaustion to function. Habits or beliefs that keep us smaller than we were meant to be. And sometimes, the most faithful thing we can do is learn how to name what needs to end. Not perfectly, but truthfully. Let my people go is not only about liberation from Egypt. It is about recognizing when life has been narrowed too far, when dignity has been eroded, when mere survival has replaced flourishing. It reminds us that God's concern is not only spiritual, it is deeply human. God cares about our bodies, our work, our rest, our dignity. God hears when we cry out under oppression. God sees when systems crush human beings. God acts, often by empowering someone to speak. If you are in a season where something needs to be released, if you are standing in a space that asks too much and gives too little, if you feel the quiet pull toward change, but fear the cost of naming it, if you are wondering whether your voice could possibly be effective against something so big and entrenched, this story is for you. You see, freedom does not begin with certainty. It begins with courage, with words spoken into places that would prefer silence, with someone willing to say, "This has to change." You just may be that voice for yourself. You just may be that voice for others. You just may simply need to hear that the cry for freedom, your cry, matters to God. Moses was reluctant. The people were afraid. The journey was long and uncertain. But movement and change began. And sometimes, that is enough. Thank you for spending this time with me today. May these sacred stories continue to meet you in the ordinary and extraordinary moments of your life. You are seen. Your struggle is real. And freedom is possible. If this story touched your heart, bless us with a like. Do not be afraid to share this video with someone in your life that may need this message. Share your own experience with us in the comments. Your testimony may help someone else turn to Christ. Subscribe if you would like to hear more stories. New episodes will be shared every Sunday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. We hope to see you again.